Hello, my name is Tony Berard, and this will be the third installment of uh, chess and dice chess for newcomers. Um, the first installment, I talked about chess and I showed how to move the pieces, and I discussed briefly about the pregame, the middle game, and the end game, um, and that there was a large database of uh, openings, which are pregames, and there's a large database also of endgames. And so, studying the endgame is really important because that's where most games are won or lost. So, uh, anyway, I believe I made all those points. And then the second video, I started talking about dice chess, and I was showing how the pieces moved. And I showed this, which is the turn scale, the various operations: increment, decrement, capture, move, and I made the point of the power rank and the mobility range. I discussed the differences of them and how you can only capture if your power rank is equal to that or higher than your opponent's power rank. This is the top rank. That's the second rank. So a 2 cannot capture a 1, but a 1 can capture a 2. A 6 can only capture a 6. A 5 can capture a 6 or a 5. A 4 can capture a 4 and anything below. A 3 can capture a 3 and anything below. A 2 can capture a 2 and anything below. A 1 can capture anything. Also, I made the point that the king cube, since it has no power ranking, it can capture anything and it can be captured by anything. But its mobility range is restricted to 1. You can move a king cube like a knight, 3 points for one move and 3 points for the second move. So your king cube can move like a knight in a single turn. The turn is over because it's 2 3-point moves, but it can do it. I guess I didn't have her zoomed all the way out. I can zoom in to see an individual piece and zoom out. But I didn't have her all zoomed out. Okay, so now it's zoomed out. So, with that all said, I have here a game that I got to play at one of my jobs. 11 moves. This person does not know how to play chess, or if he does, it's not very good. But he decided to play me. I scribbled out his last name. So his name is John, but I'm not going to tell you his last name. And this game occurred on the 15th, so just a couple days ago. It was on Wednesday. Today is Friday morning. So a little over 48 hours. So this should be the first recorded actual game of dice chess. I did have 3 games that I played with a guy named Joey, but I changed the rules, so that wasn't really dice chess. Alright, I played the white pieces, and my opponent played the black pieces. We didn't finish the game, we ran out of time, but you'll see. Alright, I played e2, e4. I like in my games to make it look like chess for as long as possible, and usually e2, e4 is as far as it goes. After that, it's not going to look like chess anymore. As you can see, this does not look like a chess score. Chess scores only do one thing, and on many of these turns, more than one thing is done. Alright, so with this notation, e2, e4, e2 is, I told you about the files and the ranks. So e2 is on the E file and the second rank. There's number 2. So it went from E2 to E4. So it stayed on the same file and went up there. I could have moved this 2 like this, or I could have moved this 2 like that. All those would have been fine moves in this game. Obviously in chess, these 2 options are not going to happen. But in dice chess, it's perfectly fine. Alright. Because each of these guys, they have access to all 8 directions, but they're restricted in their mobility range, and we also must consider their power ranking. All right, my opponent played e7, e5, which is this, and he also played d7, d5. Because a move is 3 points, right there, a move is 3 points, and you get 6 points. I only got to move one piece because white's first turn is restricted to 3 points to balance the game. And so, but after that, everybody gets 6 points. So black's first turn gets 6 points. So I guess I'll explain something here why I restricted white's first move. Observe, white has some work showing. Black doesn't have anything showing. Black is still at the starting position. So white has more work showing. Then black gets to move. Black did this. Now black has more work showing than white. So black takes over the advantage until white's next turn. And so each turn now, the players take an alternating advantage. And this is how the equilibrium is established right from the get-go. So the outcome statistics for this game should be perfectly balanced, which does not occur in chess. All right, what did I do? And my opponent and I, this was an open discussion game. I discussed that if he did something like this and then decremented down to a 1, because to move and capture is only 5 points, moving is 3 points, capturing is 2 points, that leaves 1 point for an increment or a decrement. So if he did that and decremented, that is not defending this because it doesn't have the correct power rank. It has the range, but it doesn't have the power rank. This one also has the range, but it doesn't have the power rank. So the recapture is not possible. So black has a real threat here against my 2 that I pushed. So what shall I do about it? So my move was e4 takes e5. So I captured straight ahead. And I also e5 minus. So I decremented down to a 1. And that if he's going to recapture, which he most likely will, he'll have to decrement down to a 1, so he can't do anything on the rest of his pieces. So now it's his turn. He played d5 decrement. So he decremented down to a 1 in preparation for the capture. And then d5 takes e5. d5 takes e5. See? d5 takes e5. I designed this board on the Game Crafter website. I took this board that they have that has this nice design on the black squares. The white squares were white, but I grayed them out a little bit so that way you could see the pieces better on them. I couldn't do anything to these because it would wipe out the pattern, so these stayed the same. But you could still see the black dice nicely because they have the white spots. I guess you can't see this very nicely, but it reflects off the light so you can still see that it's there. But anyway, I won't quibble too much about the color. But I modified the board by putting these on there. And these were not there. So that way when I'm recording a game, it makes it easier for me to record the moves that occurred. Like in this game. Alright, so my opponent did this. Then it's my turn. I played c2, c4, and d2, d4. So I move my c and d pawns forward. Not their pawn. My 2s. See how I interchange them in my mind? They're not pawns, they're 2s. But I made them, they act like pawns right now, but they're not pawns. They're stronger than pawns. Alright, Then my opponent played f7, f6, and b7, b5. f7, f6, and b7, b5. Which, that was a mistake. We discussed that. And he didn't take it back. He said, no, he'll just go ahead and live with it. He's a beginner. I'm like, okay. So I did d4 decrement. And then d4 takes e5. Okay, so by me capturing onto here, if he captures here, I can capture another dice of his. And that was the mistake. He can only capture once. Well, maybe that wasn't a mistake. Because if I capture there, he can capture here. But I cannot recap. Well, I guess I could. I could recapture him. And then he could not recapture back. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess he did make a mistake. So he said that was all right. So that's what I did. And then what does he do? So he did f6 decrement. It should be here. So he decremented down to a 1. Then he went f6 takes e5. So we're 2 apiece so far. But then it's my turn. c4 takes b5, and I put a check mark. You'll see why in a second. So c4 takes b5. So that's this. And I didn't observe it at first. I said if I incremented to a 3, then he'd be in check. But then I realized, no, he's already in check. Because on my next turn, I could increment to a 3 and then capture his king cube. So he's like, oh, well, in that case, he made a move. So we discussed that. So he went c7, c6, c7, c6. So he's blocking the check. And then he went a7, b6. a7, b6. So he didn't need to do that because his 3 could have decremented to a 2 and recaptured back. But he did that anyway. All right. Then I went d1, e2. d1, e2. Which his 1, he can't move it because I would capture his king cube. That's why I did that. Because it's 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's too far from here, but it's just right from here. So then I went b2, b4. b2, b4. So I was thinking I was defending this. Also because I thought his 2 was pinned, that I only needed 1 defender. But that's not true, as you'll see. So right after he made a mistake, I made a mistake. That's a mistake that I just made. So yes, so then he played b6 takes b5. b6, b6 takes b5. And then b5 decrement. So he decrements this down to a 1. So now it's 3-3. He's evened it back up because of my mistake. Then I played a2, a3, a3, a2, a3, and h2, g3, h2, g3. So now he's only got 1 attacker on here, so I needed a defender on here. What move was that? That was move 7. So move 8. D8, D6. So he did that. And then he went D6, decrementing 3 times. So he decremented down to a 3. From a 6 to a 5, from a 5 to a 4, and a 4 to a 3. Each of those decrements cost a point. So the move was 3 points, and the 3 decrements was 3 points, making a total of 6 points, so his turn is finished. Now it's my turn. So I played B4 decrement. That's here. B4 decrement. And then B4 takes B5. Then he played C6 decrement. C6, that's this guy. So he decremented this to a 1. And then he played C6 takes B5. So he captured there. And as you can see, 4 to 4. So the game is still balanced. We each made 1 mistake. Alright, so now we're on move 9. F2, E3. That's a diagonal move. And then E3, D2. So that's not a move you'll see in chess. Let's look at that again. There, and then there. Because he had 3 guys over here, I thought I should get another guy over here to balance off the forces that appear to be coming. So that was my little thought there. So then he played D6, B4. D6 to B4. So he's pinning this 2. Of course, the 2 could capture back. And then he played B4, 2 decrements. So he decremented it down to a 1. Oh, and yes, we discussed that he still had a point left because the move was 3 points, and this 2 decrements was only 2 more points. So that's only 5 points. And I asked him, did he want to use his 6th point? So he surveyed his position, and he says he didn't see any reason to do anything with his pieces. So he said, no, we'll just leave it like that. I was like, okay. So then it was my turn. C1, B2. Oh, look at that. I did a series of decrements. So C1 to B2. C1 to B2. And then I decremented B2. So that's my 4th point. I decremented B1. That's my 5th point. That's here. So that gets decremented to a 3. And then I decremented my A1. That's my 6th point. So from a 5 to a 4. So this decrement here is what's protecting that piece. Because he decremented this down to a 1, attacking this 2. And if I left this here as a 3, then I wouldn't be able to decrement it twice to capture the 1. So I had to decrement it to a 2 to defend that. This 2, he can attack it by incrementing to a 2 and then capturing. That would be a 6-point turn. And the only defender I have is my king, because this 6 cannot decrement down far enough. But he doesn't have any other attackers, so I'm okay. So a single defense. All right, so I did those 3 decrements. Now it's his turn. He played A8, A5. A8 to A5. See, he's lining up nicely here. Although the 5 is not attacking the 2. The 1 is. And then A5 minus 3. So that brought this down to a 2. That's A4. He went to A5. Alright. So now he's on this diagonal. The 1 is attacking the 2. The 2 is not attacking. Well, the 2 is attacking the 2 in the sense that if he captures here, oh, I have a defender now. Because he has to increment to a 2 to capture here, and this 2 could capture here. But then this 2 is not defended. So he's playing very well. He's overloading my pieces, it looks like. So then my turn was A3 minus. A3 minus. That'll bring that to a 1. And then A3 takes B4. So I guess I realized the overloading. And that's it for my turn. Then he played B5 takes B4. And he didn't want to use any more points. Right there. And that was the end of our game. So let's look at the position here. Let me stand so I can get up over the top of the board so you can see it better. Alright. So, this 4 is not attacking the 2. This 1 is attacking this 2, but I have a defender. And then if that's sitting here as a 2, this 2 is not attacking it because he'd have to increment to a 3 to get the mobility range right, but then he won't have the correct power ranking. So, 1 attacker, 1 defender other than the king. The rest of his pieces are back. The rest of my pieces are back. So neither person is on the attack. But he does have this 1 in the center of the board. And he's got these 2 over here too. I'm definitely more passive than he is. He's got 2 pieces on the farthest rank of his territory. And he's got 1 piece in my territory. And I'm not attacking either one of his pieces here or here or here. So he's in the more aggressive position. Is he in a winning position? Well, I'd hardly say that. But he's definitely the aggressor. Looking at this a little better, he doesn't have any protection around his king. I don't have any ways to get over there to it. His 1 piece in the center is pinned. He can only move it, along here. He can't move it to here because I could... Well, this is not... See, this is able to move because his 2 would have to increment to a 4 and he couldn't capture. The 1 would have to increment to a 3, which he couldn't capture. So my 2 is not pinned. So if he did move this up to here, I would be able to capture it with this 2. So just assessing things. I would only say he's the aggressor. He's not winning. He'll probably have to, at some point, bring a little defense around the king, which is easily done. 1 turn he could do that, and then move the 2 over. Put the 3 here, put the 2 here, and then he's got 2 guys in front of it. The 3 could go here, and then he's got 3 guys in front of it. So he's not in any danger, really. So Sorry about that. All right, so he's not in any danger. So that's that. So I'm going to say the game is balanced. The game is balanced with my opponent having the more aggressive position. And the count of the pieces are even. So, and he's a guy that hasn't played. So you could see that this game is quite easy to adapt to. I mean, I've studied the game more than him. And, you know, I made one error and he made one error. Well, there could have been more errors made. I'm not a grandmaster. He's certainly not a grandmaster. So there could have been more errors made. But we played the game. And now you've seen it. So there it is. You can get this game if you go to... it's called Dice Chess. It comes in this box here. You get the board on the top of the box. On the side of the box says Dice Chess, a new chess variant invented by Tony Berard, which is me. And you can get it at The Game Crafter, www.thegamecrafter.com. I'm in the process of writing a book for this. It's still brand new. You know, I haven't had time. I don't have a lot of time in my life, but if you support my channel and I start making YouTube money, well, then I'd have more time. So you could be greedy and get more offerings from me by supporting my channel and telling your friends about it and buying the game on The Game Crafter. If you go to www.thegamecrafter.com and you can put Dice Chess in the search box and you're right there it is. You'll find it. Put it in your cart, buy it, and you and your friends can be playing it in a couple weeks. These are custom made. They have to make the board. This is a custom printed board. These are not custom made, obviously. The king cubes might be custom made. I'm not sure. But the dice are probably regular dice. But they might make these. I don't really know how that works. But anyway, it's a custom set. Everything they do there, they custom make board games and card games. So it takes a couple weeks for them to get to that spot in the ordering queue and then do up that order. So, but anyway, once you get it, it's a very durable game. It will last for a long time. I've made a lot of videos with this game and it still looks brand new. So they do good work. All right, this is Tony Berard signing off.